I was born into a very poor family. I was the only child of my mom and dad. I didn't grow up to know my father because, according to my mom, he died of drug abuse when I was 3 years old. My mom was a petty trader in one of the local markets in the area where we lived. The area was one of the worst ghettos in Lagos, Nigeria, my country. All the streets in the neighborhood were unpaved and with no gutters or drainages, so whenever it rained, most of the shanty-like houses fell apart. For most of the houses, flood water usually flowed in, and so whenever it wanted to rain, most people will pack all their belongings from the ground or floor and put them on top of anything high or elevated. If not, they will come back and see their property floating on top of the flood water. The house where we lived was a bit better than most of the houses in that area because it was a bit elevated from the ground, so flood water hardly flowed in except in very severe instances. Secondly, we had a toilet and bedroom. There were 10 rooms in the house, and the occupants of those 10 rooms shared the toilet and bedroom. The worst was that all the occupants of each of the rooms were at least two. Though my mom and I stayed alone in our room, most of the other rooms were families comprising husband, wife, and kids. To prepare for school, I'd have to wake up as early as 4 a.m. to take my bath to avoid the long queue of people that usually lined up to take their bath once day breaks. Going to the toilet was an easier one because inside each room, every occupant had a small bowl that one can sit on and poo-poo or urinate, and afterwards go and pour the feces or urine into the pit toilet. One day, when I was about 6 years old, I asked my mom why we couldn't live in a better house, and she said she couldn't afford the rentals. And then I told her that I was going to study hard in school so that I'll be successful and build her a big house when I grew up. As I said it, she lifted me up from the ground and said, "Amen, my daughter." As she said the amen, I saw some tears flow down her cheeks. I asked her if she was crying, and she said no. When I was 9 years old and in primary school, I came back from school one day to see the only man I'd always seen with my mom beating her up mercilessly. As I saw the man hitting my mom without ceasing, and my mom crying and screaming for help, I began to look for any object to hit the man with, but couldn't see. Eventually, some neighbors came and freed my mom from his grip. From then, I hated the man with every fiber of my being. He wasn't living with us though. However, he would come early in the morning when I was leaving for school and sleep until I came back from school. He eats in our house, yet I never saw him contribute any money to help either for the payment of the room rent or food. One day, I asked my mom if he was contributing in any way, and my mom said he wasn't. I asked her why she would continue to carry the burden of such an old man, but all she said was that I wouldn't understand. Then I concluded that the man was just taking advantage of my mother's kindness. As far as I'm concerned, my mom was the kindest person I'd ever known. She gives without looking back. To me, it was a fault because before we knew what was happening, her business folded up because too many people were owing her money. On top of that, she was also a heavy drinker. Every evening, she would go out with her lazy partner and she would come back home drunk. It became worse after her business folded up. Every morning, her partner will come in with a bottle of unrefined gin and they will start drinking. I'll come back from school and meet them drinking. It was so bad. One day, I came back to see my mother lying lifeless in the room alone. I thought she was drunk as usual, but after about an hour, when I noticed that she remained in the same position, I bent down beside her, shook her body many times, yet she didn't move even though she was breathing. I quickly went and called a neighbor that she was friendly with. Immediately she saw her, she screamed and said, "Bisi, you know you are diabetic, yet you will not leave alcohol alone. The doctor warned you, but you have refused to listen." The lady was saying all this aloud, yet wasn't doing anything to help the situation. I asked her what she thought we should do, and she said the only solution was to go and plead with the man who owns the only pharmacy in the locality. I asked her why we needed to go plead with the man, and she told me that my mom was owing the man a lot of money because she usually went there for her diabetic injections, but that since she hadn't been able to pay the man what she was owing him, she's not been able to take the injection for about a week. I was confused. I was only 11 years old and in my first year in secondary school, so all the woman was saying about not taking injections meant nothing to me. "What do we do, ma?" I asked her. "We can't just leave her like this to die," I kind of said aloud, looking at the woman. "Check her bag and see if there is any money," the lady said. I quickly searched and found nothing. Then I looked through all my books and brought out what I had saved up from gifts I got from people and showed her, and then she said I should run to the pharmacy and explain the situation to the owner of that pharmacy, and before she could finish, I ran out of the room. I got to the pharmacy, and as soon as the man saw me, he said, "Your mom have refused to bring my money. I know she's going somewhere else for her injection." Before he could finish what he was saying, I interrupted him and on my knees said, "Sir, please help me. My mom is dying. She's been laying lifelines since I came back from school. Please don't let my mother die. She's the only one I have." I was weeping bitterly as I was pleading. As I was pleading without any response from the man, another man came in and asked what the problem was. After I told him, he said I should come with him. I followed him even though I didn't know him at all. I was just happy that succor was on the way. When we got to the man's house, he said I should wait outside. He quickly went in and after a while came out with some money. "That's all I have, dear," he said, and gave me the money. I thanked him and ran to the pharmacy and gave the man all what I had. He counted the money, put them in a locker and said, "I will not go with you until all what your mom owes me is fully paid." I pleaded to no avail. As there was nothing else I could do, I walked home. By the time I got home, people had gathered. Wondering what must have happened, I ran inside only to see my mom's body covered with white bedsheet. Immediately I saw it, I knew she was gone. People, that was how, at only 11 years old, I became an orphan. Did I survive? Yes, I did. I grew up to become one of the richest medical doctors in Africa. How did I make it to the top? Please check out the continuation of this testimony titled "How I, an Orphan, Became One of the Richest Medical Doctors in Africa." People, please, no matter the situation you are in today or what you are facing, don't you ever give up. Listen, somehow nature will make a way when and where there seems to be no way. Please subscribe to this channel, like, comment, and share this message to encourage someone today. Thank you.